What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If you're stopping by the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing to my channel. And while you're at it, smash that like button for me. I really would appreciate it. Also, hit that post notification bell so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. Be careful down in the comment section of the videos. A lot of spam, a lot of scammers. I will never ask you to contact me by WhatsApp or Telegram. I also do not invest money for my subscribers. So be careful. Don't get yourself scammed. If you want up to 12 free stocks, Webull is going to give you up to 12 free stocks when you open a new Webull brokerage account. Put at least one penny in that account. They're going to give you up to 12 free stocks valued up to $30,600. So after the video, I want you guys to go down to the description box of the video. Click on that Webull link, open up your new account today, go get that free stock, go get that free money. Why will the recession get worse even with the stock market booming? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let's start with, why are we in a recession? I believe we are in a recession because of inflation. The July 2022 inflation numbers came out. And right now, inflation is 8.5%. All that means is when you look at the prices of the goods and services that we use on a daily basis are 8.5% higher than they were a year ago. That's a big deal, guys. And the reason that's a big deal is because wages are not going up at 8.5% year over year, but the goods and services we use every day are. So if our wages are not keeping up with the prices of the goods and services we use daily, that should be a concern to you. It certainly is a concern for me. And when you think about, or at least when I think about, who is going to be hurt by that the most, that's going to be Americans with lower incomes. See, I see myself as an American with a high income. So when I go to the grocery store, yeah, I notice that the loaf of bread that I'm buying is more expensive, but it doesn't affect my quality of life. It doesn't affect my financial situation. But with American families who make lower incomes, it does. The three things that I think really are affected by this high inflation is what? Gas, housing costs, and food costs. Now you got insurance costs and transportation costs, and all of those things are affected as well. But I think when we get down to, the core essential items we need, for life, it comes down to shelter, food, and transportation/gas. And those things are definitely more expensive today than they were a year ago. So why then, if we're in a situation where our economy is being, hurt by high inflation, why is the stock market not affected by it? Why is the stock market doing so well right now? Well, I think you got to understand, the stock market is controlled by 1% of the population. 70% of all the assets in the stock market are controlled by 1% of our population. So most folks that are going to be being hurt by inflation don't even invest in the stock market, right? 100 million Americans don't even have retirement savings, right? 67% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, right? About 60% of Americans don't even have $1,000 in savings. So the stock market, in most cases, doesn't really have a lot to do with your middle to lower income Americans. Let's be honest. The stock market typically is for the 1% or people who have higher income levels, who do have disposable income. Not really disposable income, because you are putting that income into an asset that hopefully grows your wealth for you, but it's extra income. Maybe that's a better word. Extra income to be able to invest. Now, I know I preach a lot on my channel about just us everyday folk taking some of our money and putting it in the stock market. And I still believe that is the way for a lot of us to build wealth. But statistics tell us, when we nationally look at Americans, middle to lower income Americans do not participate in the stock market. That's just the truth, right? So the stock market is booming because, right, that 1% that who controls 70% of the stock market, those folks got to make money. And at some point, they got to get back into the stock market in order to make that money, right? And what they do is they price in this inflation talk. They price in this recession talk. But ultimately, when they price it in, they get back in and start trading again. They have to. But even though the stock market is rallying because of the good news we've recently heard about inflation peaking and hopefully starting to come down, you know, the good news we're hearing about the labor market being so strong, right? Unemployment still being very, very low. Those are good news things for the stock market. But even with that, can the stock market continue rallying the way it is if this inflation number at 8.5% doesn't come down? I don't believe it can. I don't believe it can, because ultimately, if inflation stays high and middle to lower income Americans can't afford those core things, it's not good for companies. Right? It's just not good for companies. And who make up the stock market? Companies. We already see evidence that companies have slowed down expansion and R&D and things of that nature. They have put their foot on the brake. And the reason they're doing that is because as the Federal Reserve continues to increase interest rates, short-term interest rates, in an effort to bring down inflation, companies are finding it more and more expensive to borrow money. And guys, let's face it, a lot of our companies who make up the stock market, they borrow money cheaply. They take that cheap money, they spend that cheap money on expansion and R&D and hiring people to do what? To grow their company. But if they can't borrow that money cheaply, they can't do any of that stuff. So therefore, at some point, I think unemployment starts to go up. And that's not a bad thing, because you need unemployment to go up some in order to do what? Also help bring inflation down. Because if we have more people, and again, I'm not trying to say this in a negative way, guys. I'm just saying, in order for inflation to come down, we have to slow down spending. And as long as the American people have jobs and they're making a wage and they're able to borrow money cheaply, that we're going to continue to spend, because that's what we are. We're a country of spenders. 70% of our economy is made up of consumer spending. The only way you can slow down spending is more people got to be out of work. And that's just the hard, cold truth, guys. More people got to be out of work. and there has to be more pain in the economy to force people to not spend the money that they do have. And I'm not really necessarily talking about stop spending on their core items. I'm talking about spending on things that are not core items, right? Buying new cars and taking these vacations. Guys, if you look at what's been happening with travel over the last 90 days, it's booming. Now, how in the world are we traveling when we're in a recession and we know for most of us, our core items are up 8.5% over last year from a price standpoint, but we're still traveling like crazy? And I know there's a lot of pent up frustration for 2 years dealing with the pandemic and people couldn't travel. And now it's summertime. But my point is we still are spending too much money on things we shouldn't be spending it on. And that's one of the reasons why inflation is so high. It is. It's one of the main reasons. So we got to cool down spending in order to bring inflation down. And I believe unemployment has to go up because we got to feel some pain in order for people to really get the message that we can't continue spending the way we're spending, because if we do, we'll never get inflation down. What's going to happen, though, is the Federal Reserve is going to be meeting again at the end of September, and they're going to raise interest rates again. Don't know if they're going to raise them by 50 basis points, 75 basis points, but they're going to raise them. They got to, because really our target inflation rate should be between 2 and 2.5%. We're at 8.5. We ain't nowhere near where we should be. So even though the stock market is booming, and I told you why, because 70% of the stock market is controlled by 1% of the population, guys. And that 1% of the population are the wealthy and the people who have high incomes for the majority. Now, many of us, like I said, we do participate in the stock market. Many of us do. But when we really talk about the main movers and shakers, it's the 1% that controls 70% of the stock market. Those guys are getting back in the market now because they want to make money. They've already calculated in the risk and they gotta. Now, will they sell off again? Absolutely. If we get too much bad news, absolutely they'll temporarily sell off. But you notice though, it's always temporary. They don't stay out indefinite. It's just temporary. Maybe they stay out 30 days. Maybe they stay out 45 days and then boom, they're back in again. Why? Because that's how they make their money, guys. They have to be in the stock market in order to make their money. So stock market can be booming even though the recession is going to get worse. And that's the point of this whole video, guys. It's going to get worse. We need to buckle down. We need to make sure we got our emergency funds tucked away. We got to make sure we're not spending money we don't have and money we can't afford. We should not be using credit cards and running up our credit card balances in this particular time. We shouldn't, because as interest rates go up, those credit card balances, interest rates are going to go up, right? And we got to continue to stick with our financial plan. And we got to continue investing in assets. Nothing wrong with taking money and putting it in the stock market to grow long term, right? Nothing wrong with that. You guys know I'm a big believer in that. But we got to take care of that emergency fund first. And we got to take care of any unnecessary credit card debt and high consumer loan debt first before we need to be investing anywhere. And then when we do start investing, we got to make sure we understand it's long term, right? Because this thing is going to last for a while, guys. Drop me some comments and let me know what you think about why the stock market is booming and the recession is going to get worse. Or do you even believe that? Love to hear your comments. If you want those 12 free stocks from Webull, click on that link down in the description box. Open up your new Webull account today. Go get that free stock. Go get that free money. If you're stopping by the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing, share the video, smash the like button. Thoughts become things. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hands. You guys keep chasing your greatness. Never stop believing in yourself. And I'm going to catch you on the next video. Peace. Today's video is sponsored by my company, RF Financial Consulting. And in my company, I work with individuals just like you through financial mentoring and coaching sessions. And in those 1-hour sessions, we talk about strategies to help you get to your financial freedom, whether it be through real estate investing, stock market investing, creating additional streams of income, credit card arbitrage, or starting and growing a business. If that's something that you might be interested in, there's an email address in the description box of the video. Send me an email and let's discuss if I'm the right fit for you.